Hello and Shavua Tov, everyone. We have this amazing. Let me see this. If the I'm just trying to see if the we can have the audio settings. Just 1 second. Just want to increase the volume of the microphone so you can hear me easier, more easily. Okay. So here we go again. Shavua Tov, everyone. Welcome to Sichos Haran, the Shmuz, Sipurey Baal Shemtov, and a couple of Sipurey Ariz. So this week, the story is about the Baal Shemtov had a dream, and the dreams of people of tzaddikim bichlal and bifrat tzaddikim of the mantle of the Baal Shem HaKadosh, even machshava, but especially dreams is a very special and very meaningful. So the Baal Shem Tov had a person that came to him in a dream and complained to him that he cannot rest on the upper world because his son became quite wealthy and he lives in Paris and he doesn't live like a Jew. So the Baal Shem Tov ordered his wagon, to be hitched. And we know the Baal Shem Tov traveled with Kvitzas Haderech when he would tell the wagon driver to let go of the reins, that they traveled Kvitzas Haderech, and they got to the house of the son when the servant of the Baal Shem Tov knocked at the door. The guy at the door screamed at him, "This is not a motel," and told him to get out of there. The Baal Shem Tov ordered him to knock on the door until the owner of the residence and his wife will wake up. And the woman, who was very kind-hearted, spoke with her husband. She convinced him to let him in. So the Balabais has agreed. He acquiesced to let the Baal Shem Tov come in, and they gave them a room somewhere in the yard. There was a room. The next morning, the Balabais went to his business and totally forgot that he's a guest in the yard. So the Baal Shem Tov sent his servant to go into town and to publicize that a miracle worker has come to town. So a couple of days later, the woman, the wife, started noticing that a lot of people are coming to visit their guest. So she asked him, what's going on? What's the story? So they told her, he's a very great tzaddik. He's called the Baal Shem Tov, and they are coming to be blessed by him. And so this woman, she sat outside the room of the Baal Shemtov and asked every person that came in, what are they coming to speak to Baal Shem about, and how much money they're giving for Pidyon. And those that come out, after they came out, she asked them, what did the tzaddik tell them that will happen? And if the tzaddik himself gave his money to people who are needy, and everything she wrote in her own little notebook. A few days later, she found out that not only that his promises were filled completely, but more. At the end of every day, not a single penny remained in the pocket of the Baal Shem Tov. All the money that he got for Pidyonis, he was giving to the poor people that are knocking on his door. So one day when the owner of the place came home, so his wife came to him and she convinced him to go to the tzaddik and ask him for a bracha for a child, because it was a few years already. She couldn't have any children. And after his wife has pleaded with him, convinced him, he came into the Baal Shem Tov. So the Baal Shem Tov asked him, what is your business? What do you do? So the rich person told him that he is a wine merchant. So he says, does anybody in this area has a winery that produces kosher wine? So the rich man says, no. So the Baal Tov told him, listen to my advice. When the time for picking the grapes will come, make kosher wine, and bring it to my town. The rich person thought that this promise was, this was a bit ridiculous. He didn't need any extra income. So he told the tzaddik, that when harvest time will come, he will think about it. And about his wife, a baroness, the Baal Shem Tov gave him one segula, and he says the next year she will have a son. Now this rich man already, visited all the doctors, all the experts in his town to try whatever remedies they could give. He didn't believe what the Baal Shem Tov told him. But the wife was very pure-hearted. She did exactly what the Baal Shem Tov said. And 3 months later, she became expecting. So when they saw that what Baal Shem Tov said, this is bracha that comes true. So the wine merchant and his wife decided to follow suit and do what Baal Shem Tov said, to produce kosher wine and to bring it to the Baal Shem Tov's town. And then they will also invite him for the bris. When they finished making the wine, so the owner of the winery, he loaded a few wagons with the barrels of the kosher wine, and he started traveling towards the town of Baal Shem Tov. In the middle of the way, the wagon driver took the wrong turn on the road. And when the sun set, he found himself in an unknown area. So that husband, went off the wagon to see if there's a place that they can rest for the night. Now, the wagon driver did not notice that the merchant went off, and he continued. It's only after a while of driving he noticed that his master was there. So he stopped the wagon and he went back and he started looking for him, and he couldn't find him anywhere. So the wagon driver went back, to the house of this rich merchant and told his wife, her husband disappeared in the middle of the road. So the wife also went to look for her husband, and she also could not find anything. And that rich person was alone over there in the wilderness, and he was looking for a place that he could rest. And suddenly he sees a house that was well lit and everything. And he saw his acquaintances from Paris having a good time, drinking and frolicking and everything. And they accepted him with great joy and merriment and invited him to join them playing cards. And he played, and very soon thereafter, he lost all his money. So one of them said, something, let's do one, either he can win all his money back, maybe, or lose the clothes he was wearing. So he agreed. But also in this round, he lost and had to give him his clothes. So he begged them, to just, let him return home with his clothes. And then when he gets to his house, and give him the clothes. But they totally, categorically refused. And they undressed him and pushed him out, just wearing his, like nightgown kind of thing. In the morning, a shepherd around, that just, he noticed a shepherd going around. So he came close to him. The shepherd became very scared, this white nightgown of this merchant. He thought maybe it was a spirit, a soul of a deceased or something. And he ran home. And this rich person ran after him to his house. And he proved to him that he was a live person. He wasn't a ghost. And I also told him, what happened, that, these guys, I don't know if they cheated him, whatever it is, they stripped him, they left him with nothing. So the shepherd had some rachmanis, and he brought him to his house, and he gave him some simple clothes also to wear. And the rich man started going from one house to the other, and he became guests in this place and that place, and he never revealed who he was. And after a while, he found his place to a besmedrash, and he started learning. And it was going nice. It was going fine. Started going Torah and Yira until it became Koshiyit. So he decided that he wants to become one of the Talmidim of the Baal Shem HaKadosh. So he packed whatever it is, little that he had, and traveled to Baal Shemtov. When he got to the Baal Shemtov, he found the Baal Shemtov, sitting by his table. And the Baal Shemtov, served him a little wine in a cup. And he saw, the bottle of the wine, whatever, and he says, that's the wine that he manufactured in Paris. And when he saw this wine, he refused to drink it. He says he knows what this wine is. This is a bottle of his winery from before. It's Yei Nesach, and he wouldn't drink it. So Baal Shemtov told him, don't worry. I know who you are. The wagons with the kosher wine are right here, close to my house. Just sell your wine, get all your money back, and get home, because your wife is going to have a baby soon. And the rich man went back home. And when he came home, his wife, Baruch Hashem, gave birth to a baby boy. So now the rich man, kashered his house, his kalim, became a kosher yid and Talmud Chacham. And until, sometimes later, he became one of the sages of Paris. That's the Ma'aseh Baal Shem HaKodesh, Chusat Hagen Aleinu. And now, B'ezrat Hashem, we will move on to a Ma'aseh or two of Rabbeinu Ariz. This is similar, it's a little similar to a Ma'aseh that is said about the Maharsha. Rabbeinu Maharsha. It's a little different, but he says as follows: until today, there is a base tumah in Damascus. It's called base Rimon, and it's mentioned in the Mlochim base Daf Yisches and Periket Ches, whatever. And Chazal spoke about a lot of things about that particular place. That this is a place that has a tremendous amount of tumah in it, and at that time, the koich tumah was so intense that it caused a great tsar to Am Yisrael. Anybody that passed, along this road, got such a influx of ruach tumah that he lost his Yiddishkeit. One way or another, he lost his Yiddishkeit. And even when they brought over, when there was a levaya, there was a funeral, and they would come, the coffin would be taken by the klippers and the tumen, and the people didn't know what to do. What can they do? So they went to Rabbi Chaim Vital. Chaim Vital was learning that time with Rabbeinu Ariz in Tzfaz. So Mishamayim, they told Ariz to send Rabbi Chaim Vital to that place and to do nakam of these klippers. And they sent him. And so immediately he sent him and he blessed him. And he came to Damascus and he was received with great honor. And he ordered the people of the town that the next time somebody will pass away, they will call him, for the Levaya to go together with the Oren. So one day, one person passed away, and they called Rabbeinu Reb Chaim Vital to go with them and accompany the deceased. And they came to that place, next to this base Rimon. And suddenly the people who were carrying the coffin, they noticed that the coffin was very, very light, like it had no weight. So the B'chamital told them, just stop. So they stopped. So B'chamital went into this house, basically, and he stayed them like an hour. Then he came to all the people who carry them. There were 4 people carrying the meter. And he says, separate, go to 4 different directions. Each one will go, north, south, west, and east. And he gave them names and kavanos that they should keep in mind. And they went, they did it. But he ordered them, says, no matter what happens, don't get scared. No harm will come your way. Just don't pay attention. And as they went, suddenly they saw a whole multitude of huge black dogs coming out of Beis Rimon and barking after them and chasing them. And they were petrified. But the B'chamital told them, don't be afraid, just continue. So they noticed each one of these of the 4 people knows that he found a quarter of the corpse. The deceased was cut into 4 by the klipos in Hashanah. And, can they do? They brought it back to the Oren. And B'chamital said Kaddish. And he went to the place of his kever. And once the kever was covered, he went home. And from that moment on, the klipa was totally annihilated. But Hashem, all the klipas in the world will be annihilated similarly. And after the Istalkos of Rabbeinu Arizal, Chaim Vital actually moved to Damascus. And before he passed away, he ordered that he would be buried before, opposite this Beis Rimon. And this is what they did. And around him, many great Rabbonim and Tzaddikim were buried. This story is very similar, perhaps even the same story, I'm not sure, about Rabbeinu Marsha. When Rabbeinu's daughter was ill, so Rabbeinu sat with her and told her 3 stories of the Marsha. And one of the stories was very similar to this one, where there used to be a place, it was a church that was on the road that led from the town where the Marsha was to the Basachayim. And whenever there was a funeral, as they passed by there, they would ring the galachim would ring the bells of that place, and it had a tremendous hashpah on the people that were walking going on the Levaya, and they lost their Yiddishkeit. So the Marsha ordered that when he himself will pass away, they should put his sefer, this Marsha, on the Gemara, his sefer's Marsha, on him, on the meter, on his body. And when they will come in front of that church, or it's a monastery, I'm not sure what it was, that they should put him down. And they came over there and they started ringing the bells. And the people put the meat of the marshal on the ground, and the marshal, set up. After he passed away, he set up and he opened up his sefer, the marshal, and started flipping the pages. And as he was flipping the pages, the church or the monastery started sinking into the ground until he finished flipping all the pages, and it sank into the ground completely. And Rabbeinu says that place where that happened is known until today. And obviously from that day on, everything became okay. So the stories are very similar. I'm not sure, which one is the original one. But if Rabbeinu says this story about the Marshal, it stands to reason that that's probably, I don't know if it's two different stories or the two different versions of the same story. Obviously, the story Rabbeinu said is the right one. And now the story of Rabbeinu Ariz, that Yitzchak of Neshchiz, one of the huge tzaddikim of the Talmidim of that, is Talmud of the Shemtov and the Magid. He told this particular story. The time of the Isgalus of Rabbeinu Ariz, his fame really spread throughout the world. Everybody heard about him. People didn't know much about it until later on. When the Talmidei Arizal, brought the Kisvei Arizal and started teaching, and then people realized, his greatness. We're talking about, the 1500s, talking about the around the Renaissance time. And Rabbeinu Marshal was at that time that he was a Poisek Ador in Europe. Rabbeinu Marshal is one of the before the Ramo. Ashkenazi Minhagim went according to the Marshal. This is and he was categorically against this whole in of Kabbalah, and he was against this. He wasn't interested in hearing anything about the Arizal, and he was against it. And there's also an opinion that he wanted to do something against them. But Rabbeinu Arizal, that his eyes saw everything everywhere, obviously felt it, and he sent two of his Talmidim on Erev Shabbos from Tzfas, and they came with Kfitzis Aderech to the house of the Marshal that was sitting in his room, and there was a mirror in his room, and he saw that behind him 2 people came into his room. So he gave him a Shalom Aleichem, and he asked them, "Where are you from?" So they told him they're Talmidei Arizal, and that day they came from Eretz Yisrael. They left Eretz Yisrael. So he refused to believe them. This is Baba Mises. So they started showing him what it is, how big they were, and they gave him a simon that day during davening, the Marshal I mean, the Marshal had in his mind a specific halacha. And then he believed them, and they spoke a lot to him. And they went with him to the cellar, and they showed him b'derech moifis. I'm not sure even what this means. B'derech moifis, something that resembles Brias Shemayim Va'aretz. I'm not sure what this is. So that is the thing that convinced the Marshal, and he said, "From now, I'm moida that your way is acceptable for HaKadosh Baruch Hu." He says, "But I am already old. I'm going to continue with my old ways." But from that moment on, he ceased his isnagdos to Kabbalah and to Rabbeinu Ariz. Ad kan Sipurey Tzadikim, Baal Shem HaKodesh, Talmidei Arizal, Sichos again Aleinu, their Sichos B'ezrat Hashem will have a marvelous week. Let's take a look at the Sichos Haran this week. You'll notice that the Sichos Haran are changing as we're going along towards the latter part of the Sichos. So we have to read and get whatever it is that we can. So in chapter 147, I think this is something we already said. 148. This is a chapter for today. When Rabbeinu says the Maisa of the Baal Tefillah, which, by the way, this is what we are studying. We started studying on Monday night, the Shiurim, or the Shiur Monday night, the Master of Prayer. When he told the Maisa of the Master of Prayer, he asked us afterwards, who the one of the characters in the story that told the Maisa that was written in the Chronicles about the different sects that were created as a result of the Ruach Sa'or, of the storm wind in the world. So it says, we answered him that one of the heroes of the big hero were telling this to the Baal Tefillah. And Rabbeinu nodded his head that it's true what they say. And from this we understood that it's critical that whatever it is that he said, that we will know who said what to whom. It wasn't, okay, so somebody said, no. In those stories, it is critical that we will know that one of the soldiers, one of the Giborim, of the Mai that were in the army of that particular Gibor, was the one who was relating that particular Maisa. Because when you actually read it, it seems to be like it's not a big deal, it's just the important thing is what he said. But who said it seems to be immaterial. Rabbeinu says, no, it is extremely important. And it says, from this you will learn that every single dibur of Sipurey Maises is very, very precise, to the point that the mouth cannot say and the heart cannot think. This is one of the extremely important inyanim that we need to comprehend when we speak about Rabbeinu HaKodesh. Likutei Moharan, for instance, is a super precise sefer, super precise, to the point that you can be medaktek like in the Mikra. In Tanakh, Sipurey is even higher, and the facts are absolutely critical. The dibur of the tzaddik is on a plane that is so above our pay grade, for lack of another way of putting it, that we need to understand that it is our lives, it is our existence in this world, in the next world, and Tchias HaMesim depends on every single thing being exactly the way it is in the Kutam Haran, and specifically in Sipurey Maisius. Not a single thing is actually changed. Rabbeinu says every single dibor, even minachol, is affectatious, in this world, the next world, and after Tchias HaMesim and the Great Judgment Day. We're dealing, when we speak about Rabbeinu HaKodesh, speaking about Ariz, speaking about the Baal Shem HaKodesh, that we're dealing with greatness that we cannot possibly fathom. As Rabbi Nosson writes to his son, you should know that Rabbeinu HaKodesh knew everything that will transpire during your life. It has transpired, it goes on now, and will transpire. And he's already prepared all the refuahs for that in his ksavim, in his maises, where Rabbi Nosson says in the Likutei Halachos, in the tefillas. What it actually means for us is we hear these words and we believe them to be true, but it might be that faith is flat. Okay, what does it mean? It means that basically this is true, and okay, now let's see what's relevant in my life right now. What am I supposed to do? What are the results from the medical tests? How is the parnasa going? What's my relationship doing, and so forth and so on. The meaning of this, of that thing that we just read, is that we absolutely must daven and ask to be zoche to emunus chachamim, especially in Rabbeinu HaKodesh, because the deeper the emunah will be, the more effective all the remedies that Rabbeinu HaKodesh is giving will be on us. There's a story of the Chofetz Chaim. He went to visit Rabbi Yisrael Salanter and Zecher Tzadikim Levrocha. And when he came to his house, so on Motzei Shabbos, he stayed Shabbos by him. Motzei Shabbos, he told the Chofetz Chaim that, let's go visit a person in his town who was not well. So they went to visit, and while they were sitting with that person, so Reb Salanta told the Chofetz Chaim, told that person of the greatness of Chazal, how great they were. How every single person who was mentioned in the Gemara was capable of reviving the dead. We had somebody basically in our generation who was capable of doing that. But people that are mentioned in the Gemara, Bivadai, and he spoke about it a lot. And then he said, Chazal said that a hot drink on Motzei Shabbos is refuah. So we'll ask the Rebbetzin, B'ezrat Hashem, to make a cup of tea, and the B'ezrat Hashem will be refuah for the Cholim. And Rebbetzin made him a cup of tea, Hashem, and he drank it. And within a few days, he became better. And Reb Soel Salanta told the Chofetz Chaim as follows: you should know that without me telling him and increasing within him the emunah and the greatness of Chazal, drinking the tea on Motzei Shabbos would not have helped him. Because he stoked his emunah and greatness of Chazal, the remedy that Chazal said to drink hot drink on Motzei Shabbos was effective. Gave the reform. This is why we must daven for emunas chachamim and deeper and more vivid and more strong and deeper, because that will make every single remedy that Rabbeinu HaKadosh, gives us that much more effective, whatever it is we need. We're all dealing with all kinds of called character defects, midos defects, whatever it is, things that seem to us to be beyond our capacity. There's refuah for that. The Lashon Chacham Imapeh, all the Torahs of Rabbeinu, all the Sichos of Rabbeinu, especially Sipurey Bavadai, is all refuahs for us. But their effectiveness depends on the profundity of our emunah, the extent of our emunah in the Kedushas Rabbeinu and the level of the Torah and Sipurey are. The deeper we believe, the stronger our belief in this will be, the more effective it'll be. And we need it to be effective. We can get stuck in the same place for a long time. We're learning these Torahs, we're making Isbaydus, we're saying Likutei Tfilas, whatever it is, but it doesn't seem to work. It doesn't seem to work. It works anyhow, but it doesn't seem to work as effectively as it could, because we're stuck with the level of emunah that we had before. Emunah is a muscle that needs to be exercised. To believe in the Kodesh Baruch Hu is easy. Emunas Chachamim, in believing in all the Chachamim that are not specifically, in charge of you and your tikkun, is also very easy. It doesn't take a lot to believe in the Kedusha of Moshe Rabbeinu, all the other tzaddikim. When it comes to Rabbeinu HaKadosh, where this is critical, this is where the problem starts. He says this, he says that, seems to negate this, seems to be a specific tefillos need to be invested in increasing the emunah that every single word is precise, in all the Sichos of Rabbeinu, all the Torahs of Rabbeinu, all the Sipurey of Rabbeinu. Hashem will enable us Bezat Hashem will enable us and enabled us and will enable us, to have Chaim Tovim. Bezat Hashem, all the people who need refuah will have refuah shleima. All the people who need parnas, Bezat Hashem are going to have parnas. Bezat Hashem chishkal meira. And all the people who need shidduchim will have shidduchim chishkal meira. And all the other tikkunim that we all need, Bezat Hashem. Mitzvah Hashem, Monday, we are going to have the second shir in the master and the Sipurey, the mices of the master of prayer. Bezat Hashem, I hope to see you there. Kol tuv and good vach to everyone.